Mad World: Age of Darkness is a self-titled, well-made MMORPG. I'm not sure why they feel that's something that needs addressed. Honestly, if you need to proclaim that, it's probably not true. But moving on, Mad World is one of the very few grimdark MMOs ever created. The only other grimdark MMOs that I recall were Reign of Darkness, Requiem, and maybe The Secret World due to its horror inspiration. Grimdark games, for reference, are often characterized by disturbing, violent, or bleak subject matters with a dystopian setting. The game utilizes somewhat of a top-down isometric perspective, much like Lost Ark, is set in a large world featuring a classless weapon system, no holy trinity, and will provide players with an action combat system. Mad World entered development almost a decade ago, with an original release date scheduled for 2018. Yeah. The game has definitely suffered some pretty severe delays. 5 years in specific. Hopefully they learned something from this. After 5 years of delays, the devs confirmed that it will be releasing this month in April 2023. But before we delve any deeper into what Mad World is or whether we should be excited for the game, I want to thank our patrons over on Patreon. You guys and girls are absolute legends. Also, if you have a moment, consider following me over on Twitch. I stream there every weekend. Let's start this off with the good. Mad World is a classless MMO. What this means is that they encourage players to fill a variety of roles without a focus on a single class archetype. How they do this is by converting the traditional class system into a weapon system. Instead of selecting a class when beginning the game, you instead choose a weapon, and you acquire additional weapons throughout your journey. Each weapon fills a different role. Some provide range damage, others allow for magic, including Holy, a support magic instead of a DPS magic. Some are more beneficial for absorbing or shielding others from damage. While there are no classes present, there are systems in place that will allow for you to more personally craft your character in a way that better suits you. The potential and mastery systems provide permanent alterations to your character in a way that talent trees typically do. Incremental increases in damage, in HP, defensive statistics, weapon magnifiers, and while I can't speak to the maximum number of points that you can invest into these systems, based off of the images that I've seen, I'd wager a guess that you won't find two people with identical builds. And while the combat is fully action oriented, as you're all aware, combat isn't everything. It is definitely an integral part of the game, but hardly the only part of the game worth investing time into. Life skills are just as important, as they provide players an outlet away from the arduous grind. Mad World features a gathering system allowing you to acquire items via logging, mining, herbalism. There are a plethora of uses for some of those materials, such as cooking and crafting. There's a functional auction house in the form of a black market. Content takes a variety of different forms. You'll progress with the game out in the world, where the devs confirm not everything is as it seems. The neighbor you said hi to yesterday may sneak their hands into your bags, and the comrade that you will battle side by side tomorrow may push you into a trap. Do not expect to find yourself safe wherever you go. There are no laws to protect you in Mad World. And I'm assuming what they mean by this is we're just kind of gonna come across some dickhole NPCs. Not that there will be actual reasoning behind remaining suspicious of the friends we make along the way. Mad World is going to have full multiplayer dungeons where you'll farm materials and equipment. They state everything is free to take, which could potentially mean that drops are a first come, first serve kind of logic, or that drops are individual as opposed to group loot, which I do admittedly prefer over the latter. There are going to be large field bosses that require a large number of players to engage. Now, honestly, the field bosses here that I've seen, they do genuinely look pretty sick and hella messed up. I didn't see any mention of raids on their website, but they did list something referred to as the Abyssal Sky, a group boss that requires a minimum of 24 players to engage, with a maximum of 48 players. They call this an ancient boss, which might be the equivalent of something like a raid boss, given the minimum and maximum requirements. Gameplay and content is important to not only the success, but our overall enjoyment of a game. But no MMO, no game, would be complete without a gripping story. Something like Final Fantasy XIV, After Heavensward, Star Wars: The Old Republic, or Guild Wars 2. Mad World goes on to explain that it is drowned in utterly deep and impenetrable despair. Because I want to spend my spare time feeling depressed. Okay, cool. Yet you will find a story unfold within despair, a story in search of the smallest hope, a fated deliverance. But never forget that Mad World does not allow anybody to be a hero, not even you. Foreboding. But let me go ahead here and break down how Asian MMOs tend to handle stories, narratives, real quick. Chinese MMOs have more text than hours worth of gameplay. So much story, so much lore that could very easily be summarized, condensed into a few simple sentences. It is a convoluted mess and mostly not worth your time reading through. Japanese MMOs feel like you're playing a JRPG, where there's a cast of characters, the story is entirely solo, and it actually feels well thought out, like there's purpose. Korean MMOs pretend they have a story. They have NPCs pop up on occasion, they do something really cool, the scene then just abruptly ends and you're left wondering what the fuck just happened. This is a Korean MMO, so I have just very certain expectations, of which are admittedly not very high. There is a functional mount system in game, but it differs quite significantly from what we're used to. You have to obtain mount eggs, you have to hatch the egg and then raise it from a baby. Eventually it will grow into an adult and then you'll just be able to ride it. Which, you know what, actually kind of reminds me a little bit of how ArcAge handled mounts, and I hated how ArcAge handled mounts. I remember having to feed it, give it water, pet it, show it love and affection. Dude, I'm like the hero that is destined to save the world. I don't have time for that. There are different rarities for pets, with the highest grade eggs being available for purchase through the cash shop, providing players the fastest, most beneficial mounts for a price. Speaking of the cash shop though, this wouldn't be a free-to-play MMO without one, right? There are a lot of options present to aid players in their journey through the game, giving paying players a definitive advantage over free players. And it wouldn't be 2023 if there wasn't a special season pass present to try and milk players for even more. And I'm not even against season passes in games, as long as they're not providing anything pay to win, I could care less. Also available in the cash shop for the next 7 days anyway are Founders Packs. Bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. Oh, wow, look at that. The price was originally $222, but now for the next week only, you can get it at a special discounted price of $99.99. How absolutely benevolent of them to take such a catastrophic financial loss for our benefit. However, can I repay them? At least it isn't as bad as Ashes of Creation's $500 packs. I can't believe people paid $500 to playtest a video game. And don't even get me started in Star Citizen. There's a functional guild system, or tribe system as it's called in Mad World present in game, allowing you to group up with a bunch of strangers, bitch about how much you hate WoW, how the MMO genre is dead, you know, sharing common hobbies and interests. Mad World is also the world's first fully cross-platform MMORPG, as far as I'm aware. And I'm not saying that it is a mobile game that was ported on over to PC. On the contrary, this was actually a PC game that was ported to every other platform. Mad World was built for PC with a PC client and then exported from PC to HTML5 compatible browsers, meaning you can play Mad World on PS4, 5, Xbox, mobile, tablet, PC, any device that has native HTML5 support, or alternatively, you can just play it on the platform it was originally built for via its own client, PC. I can honestly say that I've never played an MMO that was built like this, so I'm genuinely curious to see what they do with it, but at the same time a little concerned because it is technically also playable via a browser, so I'm sure there are going to be very certain limitations that are going to inhibit us. Mad World is releasing on April 27th, next week. However, if you purchase any of their Founders Packs, you'll receive early access, 3 days for Bronze and Silver, 5 days for Gold or Platinum. Mad World will be 2023's first major MMO release, something new that isn't a mobile game ported to PC or a small indie project that looks like it was built in RPG Maker. But for those of you not interested in Mad World, don't worry, I got you covered with 2 different videos on screen right now. One featuring every MMO releasing this month, and the other featuring an MMO MRSSTIX played recently that she had a lot of fun in.